Anyways, everybody, welcome back to the Pajamas podcast. I'm Cole Tyndall. I am the host of this podcast, and today we have frequent collaborator Jorge Lugo in the building.
JJL.
Is that what you... Wait, what? Who's that?
Nah, my name is JJL. That's my artist name. But close friends that, like Cole and such, call me Jorge.
Yeah, I'm a close friend.
Yes, of course. That's why I've been on this podcast about 7 billion times.
We got a heck of a content day going for us. We are shooting a vlog. We got a pod.
Yep.
What else are we doing today?
We're shooting, I'm helping you shoot your music video for the song you have with Adamant.
Yep, Latitude.
Yep, and then tonight, we've got a couple of ideas running around. We have the beat that I made last night. We could rock with that. We also have a couple of ideas that are floating around that we could finish up.
Yeah, there's a lot working on. There's one song that we have an artist potentially down to collab on. We got to change up some stuff. And then, I guess we might just make something new, too.
Yeah, there's always room to make something new, especially when we're constantly making stuff to begin with.
Yeah, man. What's been going on with your album rollout, man? That's the kind of last thing we talked about. Like how have things been in the last couple months, man? What are you feeling? What's your response been like?
The response has been really good. The first song was actually the one that I was the most nervous about, just because it was it's different than anything that I've ever put out. It's a song called True, featuring my friend Isaac Rose.
Yeah.
Him and I made the song about, I want to say 2 years ago. And the way that it came about was Isaac had come over for the first time to Barely Trev's crib, where I first met Isaac. And he was just showing us a bunch of demos, and he straight up said, hey, if you guys want any of these, literally just take them. I'm not going to do anything with them. And I heard True, and I don't know what it was, but it was one of those moments where I was like, are you guys not hearing what I'm hearing right now? Like, when I heard the chorus and I heard the way that the beat was rocking, I was just like, bro, are you serious? Am I the only one that's hearing this? I immediately heard, not only the first single for my album, but I heard something where I was like, this thing could easily be on all different realms of music. I'm talking radio, I'm talking EDM playlists, I'm talking pop playlists, and on top of it, I knew the direction that I wanted to take it in terms of lyrics and the concept of it, where it was, a failing relationship that, both people can't let go of. So I'm thinking in the back of my mind, I need this. And immediately told Isaac, we got to working with it, and when we finished it up, we knew what we had. We knew it was something special. But I didn't want to release it at the wrong time. I knew that there needed to be some sort of plan, some sort of vision to it.
Right.
And I finally felt like I was comfortable enough to do that in May. And when I finally rolled it out, there was still a bunch of nerves because, again, it's something that I've never done before. I've never really done a pop song like that.
Yeah,
so,
for sure. Yeah. It's way different. It's Pockets is a little more like bubblegum poppy, but this is this reminds me of These Things Happen era G-Eazy for sure.
That is what a lot of people have said, is it reminds them of that era of Gerald.
The
Christoph Anderson production, yeah. Yep, and I'm glad people are responding to it that way. I take no offense to that. I know you weren't intentionally doing that or anything like that.
You're still doing. It's still you. I mean, it's not like it seems like you're biting him. It's just I
take it as a good thing. To be honest with you, because growing up, I mean, obviously I grew up on 50 Cent, Eminem, Dr. Dre. You know this, but other people don't. But yeah, I grew up on those guys. But when I was really getting into modern hip hop,
right?
It was guys like Skizzy Mars, it was guys like G-Eazy, Logic, so on and so forth.
Kind
Cam
of
Meekins.
The frat stuff.
Yeah, the frat stuff, because it's I could relate to a lot of the struggles that they were going through, because it's
I forgot about Cam Meekins. Kyle Beats actually was his DJ for a while.
Kyle Beats, yep. But yeah, those guys really they influenced me coming up. Biggest reason being is I have my struggles being an immigrant from Mexico and stuff like that, but it's I already have people that I can relate to that. That's why I listened to Eminem growing up, because it's Eminem's struggles were more similar to the struggles that I came up with, but it's being 16, 17 years old, where it's I'm not in Mexico anymore. I'm here in America with mainly suburban kids, and the most problems that there are is just every once in a while someone's going to be doing a drug or something like that. When that's the worst problem that's going on, I mean, really there's nothing else to worry about. So when I'm listening to these artists, it's Eminem doesn't hit the same way when I'm 16 years old. You know what I'm saying? So when I found guys like Skizzy Mars, when I found guys like G-Eazy, and when I found guys like Logic, something about them gravitated me towards them, and it was the fact that I could actually relate to their struggle, where it was relatable to people that were in my area, like suburban kids and stuff like that. And hearing people compare my music to them, even if it's just one song, like this single, it's honestly dope. I have no issue with people comparing it, but enough about that rant. I was happy with the way that people responded to that song. I was really happy about how hard people pushed it, because really, I mean, I had a plan with it, but I think a lot that helped that song go to where it went was word of mouth, because people just really rocked with it and people are pushing it themselves. Second single I was really excited for, which was the song that Cole produced a while ago. Fun fact about that single, it almost never came out.
What's
until
it called?
Together. The song Together features my good friend Francia Flores, and
She's super dope, bro.
she's amazing, bro. She's an insanely talented girl, and that's her first song ever. But yeah, that song almost never came out, and the reason being was we actually did it over a YouTube type beat that I was gonna purchase, but unfortunately it was sold, and I tried to recreate it like 3 different times, once by myself, once through a friend of mine, and then once through actually the original producer of the original beat. Nothing sounded right, and one day I just decided to call you, and I was like, dude, I'm all out of options. This song is special. I feel like everybody that was involved with the song, like you and Nick, knew that it could go somewhere if it had the right production, but I didn't know where else to go, and it's like, all right, have at it, dude. If you can figure this out, like we'll go from there, and you did. So once we finally had it, same thing as the first single, just waited for the right time, put it out with the visual, same exact thing as the first single, where word of mouth has just been pushing it. And that's a big blessing of the album so far, is just the word of mouth has really been helpful. You know, like a lot of artists don't have that, and I'm thankful that that people really mess with what I'm doing to the point where it's not like paid advertisement where it's saturated. You know, it's people that genuinely care about it enough to push it to others. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, you're not having to, introduce yourself to a bunch of new people. The people are just doing that for you.
Exactly. Yeah, but 2 singles down. Right now, we're about a week away from the next single, which is a song with our friend Barely Trev, who, if you guys are mainly avid listeners of Cole, he was on Pockets with both of us. Super dope artist. This is the first hard song that I've dropped in a really long time, and I'm excited for people to finally hear it, because we've had this in the pocket for about a year now.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, man.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a fun one.
I've never even heard it.
Yeah, I don't think I've shown it to you. I don't think that I've really shown
It's all good, man.
anyone, really. The only people that have heard it are Trevor, obviously, and my friend Dylan that mastered the track. I've kept a lot of the album a secret, actually.
I like that. I think that's good. Leaves a surprise. I want to listen to it with fresh ears.
Yeah, there's songs on there that I don't think even you and Trevor have heard. There's songs on there that I might be the only person that's heard them before.
Right.
And I really like that. Before I would just show everyone everything, but
no, I feel that.
For this one, it's there's some songs where it's yeah, I want people's opinion on them, but for other ones, I'm nope. I really want even my closest friends to hear this for their first time when the album comes out.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I decided I'm not really going to release probably a project for a while.
What made you decide that?
I just I've been listening to the music and it sounds really solid, and everything just sounds too good to drop all at once, to be honest. And I don't want that to come off weird, but the way that I feel about it, I've put so much time and energy into each individual song. There's songs that I've been working on for years or months, or the situation the song I made 2 nights ago, where it's I made that song in probably 2 hours total,
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of just wrote itself. And I just I don't know, it would be hard for me, especially with the the size I'm at right now, to do an album. I just don't think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. How do you feel about when you first started compared to where you're at now? Because right now, you're telling me about this decision that you decided to make, where it's I'm not going to do an album, I'm going to do singles and, so on and so forth.
Yeah,
but there's been a journey in between that decision.
Absolutely.
Obviously.
When I dropped Sushi, I didn't know how big it would be, and I'm really happy with how many streams it got. I was able to get to, we're at like 65K right now.
Yep.
Which is pretty solid, you know. I mean, that's really big for somebody that's in my sort of range. You know, I had probably like 500 monthly listeners before that song came out, and I remember at like the peak of it, I think it was like 15K when the song was really going off. And you know, I pay attention to a lot of that stuff, like where people are listening from, how many they are, like what's the demographic, and it's important to me because I want to know how to like tap back into that audience. But you know, there's so much more data to go off of now. But what I was trying to say is, so you know, working with Paul and Tanner on that song, you know, getting in front of their audience and you know, getting a lot of followers and new fans from them, I started to think about, you know, what if I were to take this time and, you know, make really smart, you know, collaborative decisions and make sure that I'm, you know, really showcasing my abilities in front of the right people, as opposed to, I think, you know, what I had been doing a lot in the past, where I'll just, you know, release a song and maybe not really have much to go off of,
right,
in the way of like promoting it. And you know, there's just so much more going for you when people are like engaged to listen to a song, you know.
Right.
Like with Ruslan, he hadn't released a song in like months, and so when we dropped Roses, which was just last month, I think it was last month. It was last month. I think it was March 7th. That song, everybody was like, "Oh, cool, new Ruslan song." And so that I didn't even have to put any kind of like playlist pushing. I didn't put anything behind it. It's just literally his audience, like his listeners, and you know, like one Instagram ad I ran. So it's just I think there's just a smarter way for me to get exposure right now, and I don't think that doing an album is gonna be it for me for a while, unless I have like a body of work that sounds so good, or we'll do what I talked about before, where I like it'll be like single album. Ooh, and can we talk about something? I don't want to.
Yep.
I know you seem like you were maybe about to say something, but I just realized something the other day. So we kind of dork out on this stuff, but like we had a whole issue with our album we put out before, where we couldn't have songs that were primary artists that differed from the album primary artists. You can now on DistroKid.
Really?
Yes. So I tested it out because I saw that Indie Tribe had put out Upper Hand.
Yep.
And that there's like 24K is a John Keith song. Yep. And so is Holy Smoke. But they're also Indie Tribe songs. And there's certain songs that'll have Mowgli, but songs that won't. So I'm like, well, how are they doing this now? Because this is a whole issue with Blossom. Because Trev is a primary artist for Pockets. But Trev is not a primary artist for the album, and I wanted to put the song on the album. So that's why the Apple Music version does not have Trev on it or on my own. Because that song didn't have... Or is it just Pockets?
Well, we fixed On My Own because we were able to add
just
Nick.
Pockets because we were able to add Nick as an artist on my own. Yeah. But basically, that was the issue. Like you couldn't have the artists on a project be different from the artists on the album. And I noticed, you know, different things like another example, right? So if you look at the song "Pride Is the Devil" with Lil Baby and J. Cole, Lil Baby is not the maker of the album, but he's on the song. But it shows up as one of his songs on streaming services. Same with, you know, Giveon and Chicago Freestyle and what's the Peaches. So I'm seeing now that on DistroKid we can do that. So if you go into the songs, you can add a collaborator now for each song on a like individual level, and you can set them as primary artists without it being the same as the album owner.
So wait, would that be able to be fixed with Blossom, or do you think like at this point it's like too?
It's already been serialized, so I don't think so. But I mean, I could like it if it did. But at the same time, it's just so fire that we can at least do that for future releases. You know, like I could have an album that has my song, like has Sushi and Roses on it if I wanted.
Yep, that's nice.
So I'm just excited that, you know, we don't have to have like that label privilege anymore. You know, it's just like a little bit more accessible to us to make a compilation album.
Yeah, shout out DistroKid for that one.
So fat, dude. I knew that because the Inner Street Recordings thing.
Oh, okay.
Do we explain what that is for him? I feel like I've been talking for a while. What is Inner Street Recordings? What does that mean for us?
You're talking about the thing with DistroKid, right? Yeah, so essentially, I think it's Inner Street or something like that, right? That's what the name is. So essentially, if you have all original sounds, whether it's, you know, you bought the YouTube beat they used or you just happen to own the rights of like the beat, you bought it from a producer, like whatever it may be. Point is, if you own everything for a song, you can pick an option when you release songs through DistroKid called YouTube Music or something like that.
Yeah, Content ID.
Content ID.
It says that, but yeah, it's for Content ID.
Yeah, it's a Content ID. So basically, anybody that uses that song will
YouTube.
essentially have the song pop up in the biography as like, this is the song, this is the artist, and this is the label. But the label is just something called Inner Street Recordings, and it represents whatever label you pick. So, for example, for myself, mine is Brown Boy Entertainment.
Right.
So if somebody decided for their Fortnite, like whatever video, and they used one of my songs.
That would actually be fire.
Yeah, just as an example, it's happened before. Which
That'd
is cool.
be sick.
It's happened before, but now that I realized how to do it, if someone were to use my music for like whatever, whether it's like a Call of Duty montage or like whatever, an anime music video, whatever it may be, somebody will use the song and YouTube will automatically pick it up because it has a YouTube Content ID. And on the bottom of the biography or the description or whatever you call it, it's going to have the title of my song, my artist name, and at the bottom it's going to have my label represented by DistroKid's label called Inner Street Recordings or something along those lines. And
it's just tight because like basically like number one, like it's a small detail to I think a lot of people, but as an artist to know that like there's someone collecting your royalties and it just honestly just kind of just looks cool. And it adds a little bit more legitimacy to you and your music when, you know, you see that it's getting flagged for copyright, not in a bad way, but like in your favor.
Yep.
I mess with that a lot. And I mean, that's also just kind of like how that was the unlock for me to figure out that DistroKid let you do it now because I knew that Inner Street almost works exclusively with DistroKid. And I saw that all the Upper Hand stuff from the Indie Tribe album was under Inner Street. So I was like, okay, they figured it out on DistroKid somehow. How do I do that? And I saw, and it was different because before we could only make it reflect on Spotify.
Yep.
But it was the same on Apple Music for them too. So I was like, this is at the distribution level. So I don't know, I kind of finessed it, but
yeah, it's good to know that we can do that now. Though.
I'm saying, bro.
Yeah, because it's definitely going to look a lot better, especially if we have future collaborations with people that we want to include on like bigger projects and stuff like that.
Well, is Francia Primary on together?
No, she's not. She hasn't started her. She hasn't started her own profile. Her and I are working on some stuff. I just try not to force her to like do anything. She has a lot of ideas, and I'm always open to helping her out. But it's one of those things where it's like she's so young to where it's like I want her love for music to motivate her. I don't want to be the driving factor. So when she decides that she wants to take music to a different level, then she'll start the Spotify page. But for now, it's like. I made her a feature and not a primary artist for a reason because I knew that was gonna.
It's kind of how
it's gonna take time. Yeah, and plus, who knows what if she changes her name? You know what I'm saying? I have no idea what she's gonna go by, so I'm just leaving it at that for now.
Makes sense.
Nice.
This happened on that date I was just on, and it was like.
What? There was an awkward silence.
No, it wasn't awkward. I was just like we were just like looking at each other, and I was like. Silence is okay.
Yeah.
And it was just natural, bro. I'm a smooth criminal, dog.
All right, Jack Harlow.
I'm nasty. I'm in the best way.
That actually, that's...
phenomenal romantically, man.
That brings up something that we could talk about. What do you think about not only modern relationships, but the way that they're looked at by people in our age group?
That's super interesting. Let me make sure my computer's not asleep, and I'll be right back.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Cole Tyndall is taking a quick break to check out that his computer is not sleeping, and it is not.
This is brought to you by Squarespace. Oh, it's not, though.
ExpressVPN.
So it's super interesting. All right, let's talk about it a little bit. So I'm kind of seeing this girl right now, like very unofficially, and she's not necessarily looking for like a title. So I would say that that's kind of my first time having that be like the idea going in.
Right.
Which is, it's new for me. And I mean, I don't want to blow up all your spot, but I know that you're not necessarily looking for anything like crazy also.
I don't mind talking about it.
Right. Is that cool?
Yeah, it's fine. I don't mind.
Just because I feel like that's the situation with like a lot of people nowadays. Like, it seems like a lot of people, it's like an audition for a play, You have, your first audition, you have callbacks, and then maybe you get the part. But I feel like a lot of people nowadays are a lot better at the dating part of dating as opposed to, being in committed exclusive relationships, which is weird. But I don't know. I wonder if it's better for people on a certain level to like not hitch yourself to somebody who you're unsure of, because there's people that get in these huge long-term relationships, they get married and stuff and it doesn't work out and they divorce. So it's like, why not just explore that an introductory phase a little bit before you tie it up, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. I think from my point of view, I mean, well, we already kind of blew the top on where I'm at with it.
Yeah, blew the lid off, man.
Blew the lid off. Yeah, that's the expression that I'm talking about. But point being, the reason why I'm not looking for anything serious specifically right now, it's not that I'm not open to it.
Right. You're
'cause
too
I
good
feel
for
like,
a relationship, bro.
Obviously, no. My reasoning for it has nothing to do with whether or not I know what I'm looking for or not, because I definitely have a good idea. I've been through enough relationships and enough situations where I've been through enough situations to where I know what I want and what I don't want, but I'm very self-aware, and this is something that people have always said about me, but being self-aware and actually making the change that needs to be changed from that self-awareness are two different things, and I feel like I'm still in that process of making the changes that I need to change in order to be ready for a relationship. I've been in relationships where, whether it's me or the other person, there's something that's wrong that can't be fixed with someone else being involved. And I personally don't want to put someone through that right now. Not to say that I'm against the idea of eventually getting into a relationship.
You should be bringing your best to the table if you're going to be locking it down. I think that's tight, man.
Yeah, I think that's really it. And on top of it too, I mean, this might sound crazy for some people. I know there's going to be some like very vocal people out there that might hear me say what I'm about to say, and
I'm gonna say
go crazy, but I don't care.
I don't care that you broke your elbow.
Yes, obviously. No, I'm a year removed from my last serious relationship, and I still don't think that's enough time. Some people might think that's crazy and be like, well, if you found the right person and between that time, then blah, 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 or like, well, it's a year is long enough. For some people, that's not, like, I feel like I'm allowed to take the time that I need to work on what I need to work on, because I learned a lot from my last relationship. I learned, not only what I want and what I don't want, but I also learned, okay, I need to fix certain things about myself. There's things that I need to do, and a year being single is not enough for me, So that's just me personally. But I do know that a big issue...
This is a good topic. Good one.
But a big issue is, even though I'm aware of the reasons why I don't want a relationship, I feel like a lot of people's reasonings are more superficial than mine. Not to like bring myself to like this like high and mighty
it makes sense what you're saying.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like I feel like
people
a lot of
are trying to have sex and hook up and then do that with anyone, and that's not what you're doing.
Right. And it's like I would rather have someone just straight up say that than to lie to, on both sides, whether it's a girl saying it to a guy or a guy saying it to a girl. Just admit it. Like, you don't have to make up this like superficial like reason as to like, I'm not ready because of this, blah, blah. Just, I morally, whether or not I agree with you, it doesn't matter. I would rather have you just be honest, because not only is that a good thing to begin with for yourself, it's a good thing for the people that you're involved with. Because if someone knows, okay, this person only wants something physical from me, or they only want this, that, and the third, or they want something without a label, that's fine. That's great for them, but that's not what I want, and you're not wasting people's time. I feel like that's a big issue, is people just come up with superficial reasons as to why they don't want to be in a relationship, when it's literally just as simple as, I want things to just be purely physical. I don't want to deal with anything emotional right now, whether it's the age or the environment that they're in, whatever it may be. People want to come up with some superficial reason as to why they're in that mindset, when in reality, it's just as simple as, I'm craving something physical.
There's just no need to play, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you have a certain feeling, I mean, you should just be honest. Yeah,
because it's like, what's the point of going on a bunch of dates? What's the point of, like, getting really into a person only for you to, whether it's from their words or you catching a hint, finding out, okay, like, I'm putting all this work, but realistically, this person isn't looking at the same end goal that I'm looking at. I feel like people should just be honest. To be completely fair.
That's facts.
Because like I've been there, and it sucks being honest with someone when maybe they want something differently than you want, but it's better for that honesty to be brought out within, honestly, the first date, so that they know, okay, like, we've only gone on one date and it went well, but maybe a second date isn't a good idea because what I want is different from what Jorge wants. You know? And vice versa, like maybe like, I don't know, 2 months from now, I might want something serious. And maybe a person that I'm talking to might not want that, you know? And it's better for honesty to be there so that I'm not wasting my time. I just feel like people aren't honest enough about what they actually want nowadays. Like if you don't want a relationship, it's completely cool. Just be honest about it, you know?
I dig some straightforwardness, you know? This chick I was just hanging with, yeah, like that's kind of like, I don't know, you know? It's weird sometimes, like, to not, like, I feel like sometimes it can be easy to, like, not know exactly where you're at in certain situations, but it's like, at least you know where you're not, you know?
Exactly.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yep.
Because, like, you don't know where it could go, but you know where it is, like, now.
Yeah, and it's okay for, see, here's one thing I'm going to attack. Like, I don't like when people are like, well, like, even if you don't know where you want to be at, like, you should just trust that, like, being with
like
that. You should just trust that being with one person, like, you can figure your stuff. Okay,
no.
yes, that's true. That is true for some people. I'm not going to knock it.
Whoa.
I'm not going to knock it. I do know relationships where it was better for these people to be together, and I will give a great example. My best friend, I've known him since I was 14. I know exactly the type of person that he probably would have been if he wasn't with his current fiance that he's been with since high school. That's one example of someone where it's like, okay, that's an exception to the rule. These are two people that only grew up to be the people that they are right now, which are mature adults that have their life together because they found each other and helped build each other up. I'm not saying that's impossible, but I also think it's very dangerous to say that has to be everybody.
Right.
Because I hate using this word because I don't want to sound like I'm very sensitive, but it almost sounds like a form of manipulation to tell someone that they need that they should want to be in a relationship to fix themselves. Some people just need time alone.
Yeah, dude. And that's like a thing with me I've noticed is, you know, for a while I think I sought out like really damaged people.
Yeah.
Because it felt good for me to to feel like I was needed by somebody.
Right.
But like that kind of ended up biting me in the old keister because it's like the second, you know, so-and-so starts to feel better about themselves individually, you become unnecessary.
Yep.
And so a much more healthy approach is to be whole.
Yep.
And then supplement your joy.
Yep.
With someone else. You know? Like
we say this to say too that it's not us saying that you're trying to be perfect.
I'm the coffee.
Yeah.
You're my whipped cream.
Yeah.
I'm the coffee though.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Because there's two ways of looking at it. Like, to me, nobody is ever going to get to a perfect point. There's no such thing as a perfect human being, at least, you know, to our knowledge, except for the one person, you know, the guy that died on the cross. Shout out that dude. But aside from him, I mean, nobody's perfect. So I'm not saying you have to.
Who was that?
I think his name was Jesus
Jesus
or something.
Christ, baby.
I think, bro. I think that's his name. No, but point being, I'm not saying that somebody has to be perfect in order for them to be ready for a relationship. But there is a certain, like, good enough bar to where you're like, okay, you know, there's still room to grow. That is true that you grow with people, but you still have to hit that bar, to me, before you actually are ready to be in a relationship. And some people can't be in a relationship to get to that certain point where they're ready.
To get well.
Yeah.
You can't work on yourself while you're dating somebody.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's impossible.
No.
I've seen it happen, but I think it's very naive to assume that applies to everybody.
That was something that my ex said to me, you know, that she just wanted to work on herself. And I respect that.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that that's true. I think you should find yourself as an individual, you know?
Yeah. Completely 100% agree, man.
I'm not going to break down the whole thing that happened with that. I feel like I should say that right now. Obviously, it seems like that's a really personal detail. There's a lot of stuff that I'm never going to say, but that's one thing I will say that I do respect.
Yeah. I mean, you were in a long-term relationship and you guys ended for a reason.
And it's a good thing, man.
She's off doing her own thing. You're off doing yours.
She seems to be doing well.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the best thing, man. But we've been on this topic for a minute.
I dig it.
I don't know if there's anything that you have for me specifically, because I know we were on the topic of music in the beginning, and we were talking about just like albums and stuff like that. Is there anything music-wise that...
Well, like we were just at... I don't want to talk about music necessarily right now, honestly. I have one thing I kind of wanted to ask you about.
What's up?
So we were just at this Mexican restaurant.
Yeah, what's up?
And I'm not trying to shout it out, but...
hey, might as well, man. It's
just because I have like personal relationships with people in there.
Okay,
I don't want to
that
give
makes
those
sense,
up. But I'll just say we were at this Mexican restaurant, and we've gone there a couple times, and I've noticed, you seem to really enjoy, speaking Spanish.
Right.
And for some reason, and
I wonder why.
and I'm just kind of curious, like, how does it feel for you, as an immigrant and as somebody who speaks Spanish fluently, to kind of enter a situation like that, and I don't know, what was that like for you? I'm just curious.
In terms of like when I first came here?
No, like in terms of like, I guess maybe it might tie into that, but I'm saying like today, like how did that make you feel? Like, what is that like for you? Because for me, it's like everywhere I go, it's pretty much the same, but it's different for you.
I feel like a weird sense of me giving someone comfort. And what I mean by that is I don't know how to explain it aside from, I mean, let's take you in a situation, right? So say
Let's take me.
Well, you'll understand where I'm going with that. But like, say I bring you somewhere where your native language is English, is not spoken in that country.
Well, right.
And say you walk into a restaurant.
It'd be hard to find,
whatever.
but all right.
But like, just based on the way someone's speaking, and somehow you just know the way that they look and the way that they're speaking, that whatever language is the native tongue in the place that you guys are at is not their main language. You're fluent in that language, but you're also fluent in the language that they know that they would prefer. So when you walk in there and you're like, I'm just going to talk to them in like English right now because I know that that's going to be more comfortable for them. I know that there's like a vibe that maybe the like commoners, or like, what's the term for like the native people in like that area won't be able to understand. There's like a vibe that you can't really explain. That's the best way that I can explain to you it is for me. So like if I walk somewhere and I notice just based off of their accent or whatever it may be, or I just genuinely feel like speaking Spanish, there's just a vibe you catch. Like we have the same blood running through our veins. Like when I hear someone, oh, I'm from Guadalajara or like Veracruz or like whatever, it's like, I get it, Like even though I was raised here, like there's just a tie that I have to people that are not only Spanish speakers, but come from the same place that I come from that I can't really explain. And there's just like a joy that comes from it, man, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know, just it almost feels like they know me without actually knowing me, It's like a weird comfort that I can't really explain.
That's sick.
Yeah. That's why I brought up the example of like, imagine you were in a different country.
Well, it's like I could have guessed a lot of that, but it's like, I mean, it's like it's so different to hear you like really explain it.
Yeah, and that's really it. Just like for anybody listening / watching at home, it's really as simple as go to any native country, any other like country that's not America where the native tongue is not English, and then you notice and you know for a fact that someone working there or something like that, their main language is English, but they're trying to speak whatever, like Russian or German or something like that, and you can tell that it's not the best, and you know that it would be better to speak in English, and then you find out you guys are from the same country, they're from like San Diego, you're from Minnesota, and then you guys start chopping it up about customs and stuff that you guys are already like aware of and that you've grown up in and stuff like that.
Did Elle speak a good amount of Spanish? I can't remember that when we were in San Diego.
No, Elle is a Filipino.
Well, right, but like
they have their own thing. I forgot what it's called. Shoot, I'm not even gonna try to guess it, but they have something different.
That's right. That was a whole conversation.
Oh yeah, that was a whole conversation.
I don't want to talk about that.
It's fine. No, but yeah, Elle is Filipino. I don't know what the...
I think it says Filipino.
That's the actual name of
it. I mean, it seems like that might be one of them. I wonder what the main language is. Tagalog. That seems like languages of the Philippines.
Should probably... I don't know.
Who knows? I don't know, man. I have no idea.
I mean, every country has different dialects and like main languages and stuff like that, so I have no idea what it would be. Yeah, it looks like there's a couple.
I haven't heard of most of these. Tagalog, Cebuano, Ilocano, Hiligaynon. Jeez. The world is so big, man.
No, but our homie Where's Lugo speaks Spanish. He's dope.
How's Lugo, bro?
People always want to know where's Lugo, but they never ask how's Lugo.
Yeah, man, dude, that guy's so tight. We were FaceTiming the other night. Dude, yeah. I felt so disjointed the other day.
What do you mean?
I felt very not put together. Inside. I just felt I felt super like insecure and
about what?
I don't know, just like generally I just felt really off. And so I just like I don't know. I wanted to be productive. I wanted to get everything together. So I was like, Mom, I'm borrowing the vacuum. And she was like, all right. And so I cleaned my whole apartment. I vacuumed this rug that I've got. Yep. Oh, I got to start the video back up. All right. So that means we're like half an hour in then.
Yep.
That's when it shuts off. So I borrowed the vacuum. I vacuumed my rug. I swept all the floors. I picked up all the garbage everywhere. And it's just like, it just kind of reintroduced balance to my space, you know, and this is where I do everything important to me. And, you know, Lugo is somebody who's like a very, I would say, high-functioning person. At least, you know, it appears that way from the outside.
All right.
And so I cleaned up and I FaceTimed and I was like, dude, how do you kind of stay on top of that stuff? And he was like, you know, he was like, bro, I don't know why you think I'm put together, but, you know, like, he was joking because, like, obviously I don't know how to explain it. You know, not everybody's struggles are visible, but I mean, you know, from the outside, he just seems like a very successful person that stays really driven, stays really clean, stays really organized, you know? He's a cool dude. And so I was just like, yo, dude, how do you do it? And he just like, he just sort of walked me through it, you know? One of the things he pointed out, he's like, dude, you just got to do a mental reset, you know? Like, are all these things around me serving me? You know, like this is him talking. Earlier this year, I threw away all my old clothes. I redid some furniture. I took out, you know, things that didn't make sense in my house. And I just made the space current with me. And I don't know, it just really spoke to me, man.
Yeah, man. Lugo is a good dude.
He's so good, man.
That actually, so one thing that I was actually just thinking about yesterday. So shout out my homie Conscience. We actually just dropped a song called "L.A." with my homie Berg. Dope song. But he called me, and
Conscious did,
yeah. And I'll tell you later about what he wanted to talk about because it actually involves you. It's a good thing, by the way. So I'll tell you later.
You're in trouble.
But
see me after class.
No, but so Conscience basically called me and was he started out the conversation just jokingly. He was like, "Yeah, I'm looking for a famous person." And I was like, "Who are you talking about?" And he's like,
you were like, dang, let's see if Cole's available.
And he was saying, dude, people out there are looking at you just like they look at me and some of the guys that we hang out with, and they're thinking like, man, like, I wish I could get to JJL's level or Conscience's level. And even though, like, obviously, like, we were, like, joking around and stuff, there was a certain, like, serious tone. And the thing that I thought of was LeCrae at one point was the guy coming up. 1K Few, What Up RG, like, all these guys were the ones that were coming up. And even though you and I and Trevor aren't necessarily at the level that, like, say like, Bats or, like, 350 are, where, like, everybody in CHH is, like, looking at those guys just as an example. In a way, based on the numbers that we've put up, the circle that we're in, we're part of that conversation in the sense of, like, we're part of that next generation wave.
I would say we have respect.
Yeah. Like, we're respected and we're known in the community to where it's like, have you ever thought about how weird it is that we're in the position that we looked at all of these, like, quote unquote, like, bigger dogs were at one point?
Well, it's weird, man. It's like, I don't really, like, look at myself as anything still, you know, like, I think that I'm talented, but, like, I don't know. I don't really think about myself in terms of influence, to be honest. You know,
I'm not even looking at it like an influence thing. I'm more so saying, like, there's things about us that clearly show that we are part of that next generation.
Well, yeah, like,
not even numbers wise. So, like, let's take Trevor, for example, song with No Big Deal. He's got a lot of respect from a lot of guys in the CHH community. You've got songs with a bunch of those guys. Me, even though I don't have, honestly, in general, that many features, I've built my audience on Christians that
really
like
smart
things
marketing,
dude.
Like,
yeah, like Christians that like things that are considered taboo by Christianity, like pop culture stuff, like whatever it may be. And I've got the respect from a lot of the guys that are in the community, and I've spoken to a lot of those guys too, to the point where it's like, whether we want to admit it or not, we're in that quote unquote like next generation with like guys like Bats, guys like 350, guys like Jude, Adamant, like all those guys.
Adamant,
yeah,
bro.
like guys like that. So what I'm basically saying is, like, when you are aware of that, does it ever kind of trip you up where you're like, okay, whether the numbers are represented or not, like, there's evidence to show that we're part of that next generation that at one point the guys that we're looking at as like the top dogs were in at one point. Like LaCroix at one point was the next generation of Christian rap.
Keep thinking you're saying
KFU,
LaCroix for some reason.
LaCroix?
Keep thinking that's what you're saying.
No. But you know what I'm saying? It's like
I
all these
do,
guys like
and
at one point were in that like next generation, the Rapzilla freshman or like whatever it may be. Like these are guys that at one point were in those positions, and now they're the big dogs.
Right.
We're in that wave of like, we're coming up, we're doing our thing, blah, blah, blah. Like we're in the circle, like we're talking to a lot of these guys. And to us, even though it feels like it's just normal stuff, like I don't look at any of the guys that I talk to as like famous or anything like that. Like I talk to like Bats as like a normal human being. I don't even see him as like that. But when I step outside of my own perspective and I look at it from the perspective of like what Conscience was saying, like, you know, some people are looking at you guys like you're famous. When I look at it from that perspective, it kind of trips me up when I think about it, and I'm like, oh, dude, like I'm kind of in that like next wave that I used to see all these other guys in when they first started coming up. So does that ever trip you out, like thinking about, dang, like I'm in a position where I used to wish that I was there, and now that I'm there, like I still, even though I don't feel like I've made it, it's weird to think about that people are looking at me like I used to look at these guys.
I don't know, man. I don't really... To be honest, you know, like my ego loves that stuff. Loves to feel like I'm a factor or that I'm important. And so I really try to ignore those thoughts, even when they are, you know, just constructive or trying to big me up. You know, I will acknowledge, you know, like I remember listening to Ruslan on the bus to school every day, you know, and now I have a song with him, and I can remember, like, you know, listen to Paul Russell, same thing with Tanner, and like with T. Ross, or who's T. Ferrari now, like, you know, to be able to say that these people are, you know, my peers is cool, you know, but it's not, I don't know, it's not something that I really think about. Honestly, like, I still just feel like nothing is enough, you know.
We were talking about this not too long ago.
You know, I wish that it was not true, but, you know, I mean, every day I just try to be grateful. And, you know, it's not something I succeed at, you know, sometimes. But I will say, you know, I am appreciative of the fact that I'm in myself marketable and valuable in situations. And I haven't really done a lot of, like, jocking on a lot of these guys, to use kind of an outdated word, but, like, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yep.
You know, I haven't really talked to anybody, like, from a place of inferiority, you know? And I feel like when you approach people like that, then they look at you like that.
Right.
So I've really just kind of applied the way that I want to be perceived in the way that I move, like in the way that I gander, to use a word from Dave. It's about the gander, bro. It's about the way you handle yourself. So I just try to carry myself like I'm useful and like that I'm good enough, even if I don't feel like that, which I don't a lot of the time. But I mean, that's kind of more what all of this attention has done for me. And it's still, to be fair, I mean, it's a lot of attention compared to what it was. I still think I'm a small artist, but I'm bigger than I was, and I'm grateful for that.
Right, and likewise, I view myself as a
Thanks
small
for letting
artist.
me get through that.
No problem, man.
I didn't even mean to do that.
No, but really, like, I wasn't trying to ask that as like, oh, does this blow up your ego thing? It was more so of like, I understand where you're coming from, because this is stuff that we've talked about privately, where it's like, we don't move, like me, you, Trevor, like the guys that we all talk to, like we don't move as like a place of inferiority. Like when we talk to like these other guys, we talk to them like normal human beings. Like I don't see any artist that I've ever met or spoken to, I don't see as anything more than just like a normal person. Just another dude that makes really dope music, just like me, but they're not anything special. Like they're just a normal human being that I have a connection with. Same thing with all the stuff that you're talking about, where it's like, you know, we have goals, and we look at what we have right now and we're grateful for it, but it's still not enough because of where we want to get to. But my main focus of the question was mainly just like,
how does it feel?
How does it feel in the sense of like, it's hard to deny that we're part of that conversation, not just you and I, but like, you know, the Trevors, the the Bats, like the Adamants, like all of us, like at one point looked at guys like Lecrae and stuff like that as like the next wave back when we were way younger. And now, whether we want to admit it or not, like all of us are part of that like conversation where it's like now audiences that aren't rappers and stuff, or maybe guys that want to be artists, are looking at us like those guys are doing it. You know, like we're not there yet, but we're at a point where it's like we're motivating people to want to do this more. You know what I'm saying? Like we're showing people that we have the potential to be the next ones up. And even though I don't view it as like an ego check, it trips me up to think about like, dang, at one point, like I viewed...
Who do you know here?
Yeah, like at one point I was like, man, wouldn't it be cool to like be viewed as like the next like so-and-so? And like now, even though I don't like saying it, I mean, I'm not going to deny it. Like knowing where I'm at now compared to a couple of years ago, it trips me up to think about that people do look at me and they're like, man, I wish that like at some point I could get to JJL's position or like Cole Tyndall's position. And it's like, it kind of trips me up. Even though I don't see it that way, it does trip me up that people even like think that, you know?
I understand what you're saying. I think we have different perspectives on it, but that's okay.
Yeah, definitely.
I do just thank God every day, you know, to have... I don't have that like dreaded less than 1,000 streams thing on my page. That was the biggest thing for me for a while.
Gosh.
I hated that. Like when I would release a song and it would get no attention, and you know, to see people that I know and care about that, you know, maybe don't measure they don't measure success that way per se, like I do. You know, I really care about numbers, and it's dumb and superficial, but it's still important to me to know like how many streams did this get compared to that, and it's a good way to measure your growth, and it's important. But what I'm trying to say is, you know, I know that there's people that I had worked with for a while, or at least that I knew, that, you know, maybe couldn't get a song to that level.
Right.
And these are people that, I don't know, when I was in school, man, like, nobody really, like, messed with me like that, to be honest. A lot of them artists that I knew.
Right.
Everyone just kind of, like, I was friends with a couple people, but that was, like, it. And, like, a lot of this is my own fault for the way that I acted and I carried myself, and I was super holier than thou at the time as a Christian.
Yeah. And
that's really annoying. Like, I would judge people for drinking and smoking and stuff, and that's on me. But I'm saying even on an artistry level, you know, like, I don't know that any of us thought that anything would happen to the degree that it has.
Right.
And I think that all it is, man, is that I just have put my head down and worked really hard, and I've prayed a lot, and I've asked God to help me grow as a person and as an artist. So I'm just grateful that he did that, and I hope he does that for a lot of the other people I have worked with is kind of what I'm mostly trying to say. And it's just nice to see that happen in my life, and I just hope that I can, you know, honestly, I would just like to stop trying to look at people as like, what can they do for me? And I feel like I got to start looking at things like, as like, what can I do for you? Because I think I have a lot to give.
Yeah.
And I think, to be honest, if I'm really, really being honest, and this podcast is called the Pajamas Podcast because you're supposed to be comfortable and be honest with like what you're feeling. And
right.
That's the whole heart behind this brand.
Yep.
So I'll be honest, man. Like a lot of times I'm looking at collabs. I'm like, is this artist bigger than me? How can they bring me to the next level?
Right.
Obviously, it's about making friendships and making relationships, but it's like,
right.
I just got to kill that ego. And, you know, I think it'd be cool to start thinking about things in terms of more like, you know, what things can I entertain that would be a blessing to someone else? How can I serve other people? And that's I think maybe more what Jesus would be doing.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
I just want to be more like him, you know?
No, yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like,
kill that flesh.
That there came a point where, I mean, with all due respect, like I'm not saying this as in like a crazy way, but like once I started seeing certain numbers, things started to click in my head where I was like, this isn't all it's cracked up to be. So like, what am I actually going to value?
What am I doing?
And this
for?
is something that you and I talked about personally, like outside of the mics and the cameras and stuff. But like, and this is something that hasn't just happened to me, it's happened to like plenty of other artists. You get to a certain point, and it doesn't even have to be like millions of streams. It can literally just be a couple thousand where you just realize like, this isn't all it's cracked up to be. Like, this is cool. Like, it's cool that, you know, I'm making money off of my streams and I'm getting all these opportunities and stuff like that. But like, what am I actually valuing? So like, something clicked in my head where I was just like, exactly what you're saying, where it's like, I stopped looking at collaborations as like, what can this person do for me? And more of like, I just rock with this person as a person, and this is a dope song. And
because that's the only way that I ever got the opportunities I got.
This is literally just like, I get more, honestly, there's times where I get more out of just talking to the person that I collaborate with than the actual song coming out. Like there's been songs that have done well that I've done collaborations on, and honestly, I've felt more excited just talking to the person and like having deep conversations about whatever it may be than I have the nights that I look on Spotify for artists and see like, oh, like it got 500 plays today or like whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like when I started valuing those things, that's when the flip switched. Because it's like, I know what journey I'm on. I'm aware of the talents that God has provided for me and all of my friends. But at the end of the day, like, those things can be snatched away whenever. Anything can happen. So what am I actually putting my value and my worth into, and what am I actually grateful for? For me, even though I'm happy that I make the music that I make and I have the audience that I make, I'm more happy about like the moments where, like right now, like me and you are just like yeah, we make music together and we're gonna make music after this podcast, but it's like,
oh, look at this guy's confidence right now. You see him?
Yeah, people can't see it, but
no
dude,
shirt,
just
bro.
no shirt,
backpack,
doesn't care.
With the backpack,
with the chicken strips,
doesn't give a frick, man. All right, sorry, what?
But no, it's like you and I, like, we could literally go tonight without making music, and that's fine. Like, we're friends at the end of the day. Like, I could care less if we'd like knock out a song tonight or not, because I trust you and I have faith enough in you to where I know that whether it's tonight or like 30 nights from now, like, we're gonna knock out a song eventually. It doesn't have to be tonight. Like, let's just enjoy the moment, like, have fun, like, do this podcast.
We could never make a song again.
And I'd still be friends with you.
Right.
Like, it's not the end of the world, you know what I'm saying?
You could quit music.
Yeah, no, as crazy.
I'm joking.
It sounds crazy, but it's like, really, if all my friends, if you, Trevor, Rosie, like whoever, all my friends that make music decide to quit, it's not like I'd be like, well, you guys are no longer of service to me, so I'm done talking to you guys.
That's the healthy way to say it, man.
It's like, dude, no. Like, you guys were we've had serious conversations about life things that are outside of music. Like, I'm not going to stop hanging out with you guys just because of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just making sure that's good.
No, you're good.
Exposed well.
But yeah, that, and I'm glad that we're talking about that, because I feel like there's potentially guys that are, you know, listening / watching this that, you know, could be wondering, like, what are tips or like whatever it may be. And like, the biggest thing that I'll tell you guys is, like, don't look at this as anything more than just a cool hobby.
Make some friends.
That you can make some friends off of.
Make a friend. Everybody's just your friend. Be nice to everybody. Respect every DM. Respond to every DM. Say thank you.
Yeah.
Don't be a fanboy to anybody. Like, I've had to learn that.
They're human beings.
When I've gone to talk to other people, like I approached an artist the other day who's like exponentially bigger than me, and I was like, "Hey man, I think you'd be great on this song. Let me know." And that conversation went really well.
Yeah.
And I could have been like, "Hey man, been a fan of yours for a while."
Yeah, and
you
dude,
know?
like, even like, I guess like the closest thing that I've had in terms of like specifically like CHH was when I was out there in San Diego. Like, even though I've listened to Tanner and I've listened to Paul, I really didn't like get off the hype like I did with. You know what I'm saying? It's like, or when Lugo was staying with us, like, I've been hip to these guys' work, but when we all hung out, it was like,
you just have to look at opportunities. You know what I'm like, I deserve this. You know, like, I am worthy of this.
Not even that, dude. Like,
it is that. It
is that. But like, when I was in that situation, like, me and Lugo were just talking.
That's
like,
what I'm saying, bro.
Like, normal. Like, me and him were cracking jokes that had nothing to do about like the work that we were doing, and we were just having. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I wasn't looking at those situations that I was in socially, and I was like, oh man, like, I got to be on my best behavior, and like, what can I benefit? No, dude, it's like, these are just normal human beings, and like, we're just gonna talk about stuff. Like, me and Tanner ended up talking about like demons. I doubt he remembers this, but we ended up talking about an anime called Demon Slayer. Paul was cracking jokes, and he saw that I had
you're going over your
he
music
saw that
and
I had
stuff.
his album and stuff, and Like we were like talking about just a bunch of random stuff about himself, and like we ended up talking about Bitcoin. Like, and it's like, bro, like I benefit nothing from having these conversations with you guys, but you're just normal human beings at the end of the day. Like I could care
AC is
less
going
about
crazy.
the numbers you have on TikTok or like Spotify. Like you guys are here right now. I just want to get to know you as human beings.
That's
And
what it is.
That's what this is
dude.
all about. Dude,
Let's get
honestly.
some sushi and tacos and have a good time.
Yeah, so to all up and coming artists, value the right things. That's the biggest piece of advice that I can give to you. Value the right things and really enjoy the ride. Because once you get that thing that you're looking for, whether it's the rollie or the car or like the numbers or whatever it is, you're gonna get that thing. But then what's next? What are you actually valuing that can stand the test of time? Like truly. Because friendships for me, those are things that I value that I know are going to stand the test of time. Like memories that when I'm in my deathbed, not to get morbid, but when I'm on my deathbed and I'm thinking about my life, like I'm not going to be thinking about how much money I have in my bank account or how many numbers I got on Spotify before I passed away. Like I'm going to be thinking about the time that I went to San Diego with Cole, or like the time that I performed with Trevor in LA, or like the time that I hung out with my family. Like you got to really value the right things when you're in this. Otherwise, you're just going to go crazy thinking about the wrong things. So that's where I'm at with that.
Heck yeah, dog. Yeah, man, I'm just trying to be present and just kind of go a day at a time. And yeah, dude, I don't know, man. Like, I still don't really look at myself as like anybody that has much to say. I feel like
Everyone has a story, bro.
right, but I'm saying
everybody
like,
has a story.
I don't
could
know.
care less
I don't
who
really
you are.
feel like I don't know. We still have different opinions on our platform. I'm grateful. Whatever. I appreciate it.
You have a platform, bro. I feel like you under like whelmed the actual platform you have.
I do
bro.
think
like,
to a degree, yeah, I do. But I it's not that I don't appreciate it. I think I just don't really grasp it yet. But
I don't think anyone does, dude. I don't think anybody that I know actually grasps like.
probably
they
it's
do.
not even close to what I know that it will be. You know, because I mean,
Right.
like it's got to be something crazy with the work that I'm putting in, man.
Right, and I mean, I have faith in all of my friends. I have faith in all the people around me, and you know, I know that you're gonna do something big. I know Trev's gonna do something big. I know I'm gonna do something
Freaking
big.
Trev,
like,
bro.
yeah, shout out that guy.
Trevor
I heard we're
Seabold.
gonna hang out with him soon.
Yeah, we'll see him in ATL, baby.
Hey, Indie Tribe, if you're watching this, you guys are dope. You all make dope music. No big deal. You killed your verse on Armor. John, drop another album because Anti-Hero is fire.
I need that album.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mowgli, bro.
Mowgli's fire.
Who sounds
bro.
like Mowgli?
Hey, I don't know which one it was. I don't know if it was if you remixed In the End or Numb. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it was In the End. He did a tribute for Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park.
I didn't even know that.
He did, yeah. He I think it was like the 20th anniversary or
I
something.
think it would
like
have had
that.
to be in the end. I think Numb was on Meteora.
I think it was. Nope. Yep. It was. It was In the End. I don't know why I'm tripping, but yeah, it was In the
Unless
End.
I'm wrong, then forget that.
Yeah, his cover of it was insane. Mowgli is actually a really diverse artist. DJ Mike LV's just got the best voice in the game.
Bro,
He's
talk
got
to
the
me nice,
best
baby.
Voice in the game, and he can put artists together like no other, bro. Like
he can freaking wiggle, man.
that dude knows music.
Cool, bro.
With that being said, this has been the Pajamas podcast. I think we are gonna have to start getting ready to shoot
Yeah,
this
sun
video.
is setting. We got to get outside.
Cole.
I do want to ask you, man. There's one thing I do when I close these.
Yeah, what's up?
What are you grateful for, bro?
I am grateful to be alive. I'm not going to talk about it in this podcast, but you know a lot of the things that have been going on recently. And I think that I speak for everyone. Normally I don't, but this time I think I am when I say that life can suck. And
Yeah.
there's always a reason to not be grateful and be sad. I mean, I've got my things, whether they're things that are out of my control or things that are in my control that are tough to stop doing. But at the end of the day, I woke up. I made it through the 40-minute drive to get to your crib safe,
Begrudgingly.
begrudgingly. I'm about to enjoy the rest of my day making stuff that I love. And I have every reason to be grateful, even though I also have every reason to not be grateful. So
Nice.
really, the fact that I'm alive in itself is a big blessing. That's a big thing that I'm grateful for.
I'm grateful for my health and my independence. And, you know, as insecure as I can feel at times, I think, you know, today I feel pretty put together and that I don't really need anybody else to make me feel happy. So that's pretty cool, you know?
Except for me. You need me to be
Except
happy.
for Jorge.
And Nick.
So, yeah, man, hopefully this podcast has helped you guys learn something. There's something that you can appreciate in your life. I'd encourage you to continue to just see the things that you have as opposed to things that you don't have. And, yeah, we appreciate you guys joining us. Please check out Together by Jorge, as well as, do you want to announce the next single?
The next single is Work by Me, featuring Barely Trev.
And then I have Numb, a new song coming out on the 30th of July. And then Adamant and I just dropped Latitude. So that's what the video is going to be for. So I'd appreciate, you know, any support you guys want to show on those projects.
If you already have Spotify, stream our music as much as you can so
Oh,
we
it
can
helps
quit
so
our
much.
jobs.
And follow. Follow is so good because
Follow.
they'll push us into new playlists. if you
Pre-save link, all that jazz.
But yeah, some real love. I really appreciate everybody who's ever, you know, done anything at all to support me, you know, because you could have done something else. So thank you.
Yeah, shout out to everybody that's watching and listening to the podcast. And shout out Nick. He couldn't
And
be
shout
here.
out Nick. Miss Nick, bro.
Yeah.
All right. Well, have a good night, guys. We'll see you next time.
Little flame.